Hi, I'm Jackson O'Brien from Kung-versations, a podcast discussing some of your favorite martial arts titles. Today we're going to be talking about Jackie Chan's Drunken Master II, also known as Legend of Drunken Master. Thanks for joining Clay, Conor, and I, and we hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Kung-versations with Jackson O'Brien. Today's movie is Legend of the Drunken Master, starring Jackie Chan. It follows the story of Wang Fei Hung, played by Jackie Chan, as he attempts to stop the smuggling of Chinese cultural artifacts out of China with his infamous drunken boxing. And joining me today, we have...
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. Clay Convery, martial arts consultant on this film. Jackson, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here.
Wouldn't have it without you.
I had a great time watching this film, and I can't wait to dive into it.
And hello, I'm Conor Green, drinking enthusiast, and this was probably my first kung fu movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and what a good one to start off on.
It was crazy.
It was
just to start off.
Yeah.
Conor,
Crazy.
I'm happy that we were all here to watch you lose your virginity. Quite frankly, it's been an honor.
It was really. I'm proud to have you guys there when it happened.
Right. So, I'm not sure exactly how you want to do this, but Jackson, any place you want to start with jumping into this film here? There's a lot.
There's a lot to cover.
A lot happens. I did write a brief plot synopsis going over scene by scene.
That's what I want to say first. If you haven't seen the movie and you desperately don't want to be spoiled in any way, you should probably watch the film first. And watch the film that came before it, because the first time I watched it, I didn't realize it was a sequel. And it's a sequel to the original Drunken Master from 1978.
I had a question about that because in doing research for this, right, it's in IMDb. It's called Drunken Master II.
Yeah.
I had no idea there is a
Right.
It goes by many names because it's a lot more popular than the original that came out in 1978 that
Did the
no
original,
one knew about.
Did the original also star Jackie Chan?
It was Jackie Chan as
Oh,
well,
was it?
yeah.
Huh. That's wild. Is
2
this
years before
a
the
scenario?
Young Master, yeah.
Okay. Huh. Is this a scenario kind of like those strange movie posters that you'll see from Cuba or wherever, where?
I haven't heard of this.
Well,
one.
no, it's countries that tend to be cut off and isolated enough from a lot of mainstream culture that they will get films, usually like 6 months after their normal theater releases. They'll usually get bootlegged in whatever country that is. But whatever country never has the rights to like the poster or any of the merch for that. And lots of times they really don't know what it's about. So, for example, you'll go and you'll see a poster there and it'll just say like Jurassic World across the top, and it's got a picture of like a bunch of soldiers on the front of it with guns, and then like Batman in the background. And someone just took a guess really at making the poster.
History
It's
of
a fair
alcohol
guess, I
and kung
think.
fu.
But yeah, back to, if you want to watch the movie before, we're not gonna necessarily be spoiling everything in the movie, I don't think, but
There's just not a lot to spoil.
yeah, that's true.
You
It's a lot of
can
fights.
guess that. Really, you should watch it for the fight scenes.
Of
Without
course,
a doubt, yeah.
But yeah, if you'd like to get into
Wanna go with
the
the plot?
Yeah, but I will say, going off that point, that's one of the best things about this film, I think, is the fact that you can tell they, from the start, this movie, it really kind of knows what it is, and it doesn't try to go and throw a plot in your face that, oh, we're gonna be really involved and have a bunch of characters here that are important and blah blah. It's a movie about watching Jackie Chan be the Drunken Master, and you know that from the start. So the opening scene, if you all will recall,
The one on the train?
yes,
Yeah. Or no, the one where they're waiting in line.
where we cut to in the middle of some sort of square here outside of a train station in China. It doesn't give a year, but I can assume it's probably like turn of the century kind of time.
Was it Tiananmen Square?
I don't.
think that was
I hope
Tiananmen
not.
Square.
I wanted to give some air so you could cut that.
That was no.
Yeah,
but
back
yeah,
to the plot.
it definitely seemed like it was before the communist revolution. I assume.
Right. Well, you can definitely see, and we'll get to this later. When the characters are on the train, there is a certain character that they're introduced to, who at one point flashes a government badge there, and on it is the actual flag from the pre-Maoist Republic of China there, but not exclusively important to the film itself. The setting more just ties into the themes that were happening around the time in Western expansion and the kind of spheres of influence they had in China at the time. But I'm not going to go into that nerd shit right now.
Where they're literally trying to like suppress the culture,
Right.
like move in,
Which comes in a lot in the movie.
Right,
Actually.
right.
I was originally surprised about that because I thought it was just going to be a bunch of fights, cool fights.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
it was. But
I will say that's a good point to bring because I don't want it to sound like we're underselling the themes that are at play here, because they are pretty focused and they do a pretty good job of leaning into them, which we'll kind of get into later. But going off of our fourth tangent now, back to this main scene here. Start off, introduced to our main characters here. We have Jackie Chan's character, who I cannot for the life of me remember his name.
let me find that for you.
It was Fei
Wong Fei Hung. That's right.
Okay.
Finally, I could
Yes.
pronounce that.
Jackie Chan's Fei Hung here. We have him alongside what I believe is the old man from... I think it's him and his father along with their assistant.
Yeah,
the three of
they're
them attempting to board this train here, headed to whatever city it is they live in. We're never told explicitly.
Yeah.
It was Hunan.
Was it
Okay.
Hunan?
Or Hunan. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Hunan?
Disclaimer to all of our foreign and literate viewers at home: we will be horribly butchering and insulting the beautiful Chinese language today.
I don't know any Chinese or correct pronunciations
We,
or anything.
we brought you in as the expert, Connor.
Who
I don't know what we
was
were
not
expecting.
informed. Were you expecting? I'm sorry. it is on my. I did put on my resume that I do speak fluent Chinese, but usually no one reads those.
I have to admit, your resume coming up a little short. You promised fluent Chinese. I have yet to see any fluent Chinese.
You're the drunken consultant here.
It also says vertical.
I don't
jump
see any
of 8
alcohol.
feet.
We have not seen your 8-foot standing leap, and I'm a little anxious to see.
That's actually on my resume. Yeah, so I did not. It was the assistant Cho, right?
That is a question which I have
His
down
name
here.
was Cho. It's spelled TSO.
But was he on the train? Was he the train? Was he the other guy that
Because-
was on the train?
Right, because this movie, it opens when they're trying to board the train. Basically, the scenario that's laid out, you hear through a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of exposition. Jackie Chan talking to his father there, complaining about the fact that they have to pay taxes on the goods that they're putting on the
Yeah.
train there, and they're trying to find a way out of it. In order to do this, they see that there's a wealthy ambassador, some sort of aristocrat moving through. So Jackie Chan decides to smuggle his stuff inside this man's luggage to get it past security there. In order to do this, he pushes what at the time I thought was just a seemingly random guy, trips a person in the crowd in order to cause the distraction to slip his package into this man's luggage.
Mhm.
But I think that is
It's just
It
the
was
servant.
Cho.
Yeah.
Cho, his assistant.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's the only other character that we know.
He comes up
besides-
like twice, I think, past
Yeah.
the train scene.
But he was like the. I mean, Jackie Chan was a comedic relief, but he was like.
Yeah.
He was like a stupid other character for Jackie Chan to use as like a prop for other jokes.
right.
Yeah, so I guess. So they put it on, and that being the ambassador's luggage.
Right.
And then they don't know that until later. So they get on the train. From my recollection, they get on the train. They all sit down, and they're all starting to. What? I don't remember what happened. I just know that he went to go get the ginseng back, like the luggage, and so he went and then finds another guy looking through luggage.
Right. They
the
go
older guy whose
Yeah.
name was
It was like Master. Whoa. Master.
I'm not gonna try to
It was
find
like
that
Master
name again.
Fu or something. I'm not kidding.
and I believe that is actually what it was.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah, it says Master Fu. Yeah, so it was Master Fu.
Who was also a Manchurian soldier as well, that they brought up later, I thought is what they said.
Was he
Yes.
a soldier?
And he was like a famous Manchurian soldier.
Oh,
actually.
that's right. He was like an honor.
Manchurian officer, that's right.
He was like an honor.
He wore a
officer.
furry hat.
He did wear a furry hat.
And this is the point in which we get led into the film's first of many fight scenes
Yeah.
here. Boys, what did we think of this fight scene here? The two of them, Jackie Chan, meeting Master Fu on the train. The two of them battling over this confusion upon them both trying to sneak packages out of this ambassador's luggage at the same time.
Okay, the fight scene went on for a long time.
It did.
And the majority of it, Master Fu was winning because
Yeah.
he had a spear, right?
Yeah,
He picked up a spear, and it's like he couldn't.
and it came up that like Jackie Chan eventually did his drunken boxing, but it didn't work.
No, he
Which
said it was like slow.
It was the only
and
time it was really
bad.
foiled
Right.
in the movie.
Yeah.
In the beginning, which was kind of weird, but
There does seem to be the weird thing in which, and again, I won't get into like trying to nitpick this because I absolutely get that it just works as a kind of device for making fight scenes have a bit more tension to them.
Yeah.
But in this, it seems like most fight scenes start out with Jackie Chan doing martial arts, but just some very basic, unspecified martial art that is not drunken boxing. And then as soon as he gets in dire straits and the fight starts getting intense, then he will pull out his drunken boxing.
and pick up benches and hit people with full-size benches.
There was a lot of bench throwing in this movie. A lot of broken benches and chairs.
None were harmed in the making of the film.
A lot were harmed.
Thank God.
I would argue all of them that appeared were harmed. Someone was like flipped onto it and it cracked, or he would just hit 9 people in a row with it. A lot of broken benches.
They single-handedly put a Rooms to Go out of business with this movie.
So he does a fight scene. The master's like, "Oh, you suck at drunken boxing," and then the train's leaving. I believe it's a rated R movie, right?
I don't know how Cantonese ratings work.
Yeah. But there was a lot of comedy, and I know that's
There
like the
was.
point.
It's labeled as a comedy action film.
That
so
makes sense.
I guess more action than comedy, but there was still a fair bit of Jackie Chan with his usual physical humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Which works so well for this because, and I don't know if we've said this up to this point. We probably shouldn't have to. You should go watch the movie if you're listening to this. Don't listen to us and see the movie. But the version of this movie, which you would be most likely to watch, the one on Netflix right now, is in Cantonese, I believe.
Yeah, there's a
They're
dub
not-
for it and a sub for it.
Okay.
Originally, I watched the dub, but the sub was for the most part similar.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
So with a lot of it, you can't. There's a lot of comedy in this, but you
Yeah.
can't hear the actual actor's delivery of it then because you don't speak the language.
You don't speak
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Which again, as you said, Jackie Chan being so good at physical comedy makes it work well because you don't
so
even
much.
have to be able to understand him
Yeah.
to kind of get the punchline.
It was probably around his 8th chugging of bottles of wine, and like the first real fight where his stepmom's just chugging wine towards him, and it's just really funny. It's going all over him, and I don't think he drank.
There's more wine on him than there is in
Yeah,
him.
no, absolutely. Like the entire, I don't think he was just spilling everything. I don't think a single drop went into his body.
The part where his dad waterboards him with wine.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was
intense.
The dad sucked, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, he was bad.
Shortly after they fight on the train, and even when they're on the train here, and eventually get back to the kind of family home here within the city, we do get quite a few scenes meeting Jackie Chan's father, and I believe it's his stepmother.
Yeah, his stepmother.
Who is the sister of the original mother.
Yeah.
Which is bold.
That is bold.
May I say, that is bold.
And I think we all have the general kind of agreed consensus here. His stepmom, a real hoot and a holler, as some might say. She's fantastic.
Oh, she was great.
She was probably my favorite character.
Absolutely. Yeah. His dad, huge dick.
No, yeah, he was the worst. There's a scene that is just like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes of him just beating the shit out of Jackie Chan who's drunk.
Right.
And like sad. It's just not.
No.
And it's clearly for like a different audience and different culture.
Right.
Oh, but it was really uncomfortable.
But yeah, I guess that's just to reiterate that there's a whole different context here for American audiences and Cantonese audiences. It's hard to explain.
Because a large portion of the conflict, specifically the like kind of character arc of Jackie Chan's character there, focuses on his conflict with his family, which has a lot more weight probably in China than it does here. That's not to say that sort of story isn't still impactful here, but where that would more be focused on like, oh, my individual relationships with my parents or whoever in a more Western story. Yeah. There's a lot of this where it comes down to the things that ultimately end up being the biggest kind of defining factors that force Jackie Chan's character to do new things and sort of change his ways are stuff that ties more into, oh, what's his family's image?
Yeah.
How are they socially perceived?
Which I think they kind of lead off in the beginning with the doctor is the dad is a physician, right?
He's a physician and he owns a martial arts school.
Which is buck wild. Which is not something that happens. But it's pretty shown early that the father cares a lot about the reputation. Like, he's very pacifist and like, please do not attack or ever fight at all, much less drunken boxing, which is crazy because apparently fighting just happens every day in this movie. He like stepped out to get fish and talked to a girl, and a guy challenged him to a fight.
Right.
Yeah, the fishmonger.
The fish dude.
He was intense.
He was very intense, and he was like
throwing knives around.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No, I don't think there was any physical altercation that started that either. He was just like, that guy knows drunken Bach is not that good. I'll show him. Let's fight.
And the look on Jackie Chan's face when he says, yeah, drunken boxing is not great.
The entire point of drunken boxing is that you have to be drunk for it to be like really, really, really good, right?
I don't think that's not what the premise of actual drunken boxing is.
No.
And B, I don't think that's what it was in the movie either. It's just Jackie Chan's character happened to be an exception where he just got better at fighting the more drunk he was.
But there's a sweet spot.
Yes, you can't go too much.
You can't
go
too much.
I will say, as my position on this show, my position in the description, which does say martial arts consultant,
of course,
I will go ahead and say, yeah.
You're
right. The actual martial art itself of drunken boxing does not require the performer to be drunk. It's supposed to be inspired by the moves of a drunk.
So like the movements,
right.
like the unpredictability and stuff.
So while in most martial arts, your kind of footwork is supposed to be very clean, very quick looking, this one, you intentionally will stumble. You'll sway your upper body in weird directions, usually with the intention of it's to be used in like a bar fight or something, where you then make your opponent think you're very drunk, but in actuality, you have very fine control over your body, and you're able to then do a bunch of wild stuff.
Because it's crazy the momentum that Jackie got in the majority of like the swaying was what would normally be probably just a chance for like a normal jab or a punch or something. Ended up being like a full spin, full momentum hit straight to the head.
Right.
Which he did very well doing drunken boxing in this movie. It was incredible to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And as a drinking enthusiast and watching here on the show, he had a lot of alcohol. He had a lot.
There's one thing I actually want to bring up, because in that last fight scene, that was actually industrial strength alcohol. That wasn't drinking alcohol. And to dip into a little trivia here, in the original Cantonese version, there's a scene at the end, probably, I don't know, an extra 30 seconds just off the end, because the end of the American edit's actually quite abrupt, but
it's
where
incredibly abrupt.
It
was
just
like
ends.
He got knocked out, he blows a bubble, and it's over, and there is no...
Yeah, but at the end of the Cantonese version, there's just 30 seconds of making jokes about how he's now basically blind because he's imbibed probably, I don't know, four separate, those were cups, I think. I don't know.
Were they they were like a weird, because they were made to be thrown, right? So it had like a weird spout.
I guess 4 large cups of industrial strength alcohol.
No, you can't drink that.
No.
Like, I'm almost positive that will cause... He vomited immediately after drinking one, and he still was fighting. I'm pretty sure he would have vomited, his kidneys would have failed, and then he just would have died. I don't...
As he said earlier in the film, the stronger the better.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about that earlier, and the fact that there are a lot of movies that people watch, particularly ones that are, you know, have a lot of like kind of cult following and whatnot, where people like to play drinking games, you know, with like things that happen in a movie.
Right.
People do like, especially movies that are known for specific things. It'll be like, oh, I'm gonna watch Fast and Furious, and every time someone, you know, flexes their biceps, I'm gonna take a shot.
It's called alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I was thinking about that with this movie.
Take a drink every time Jackie Chan takes a drink.
If you tried to drink along with Jackie Chan in this film, let me tell you, you would have nothing for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
just constant abrupt shots.
You'd understand the first half. You would be out
for
the second
You wouldn't
half.
remember it was so much alcohol. If you even considered taking a shot every time he had a drink, like just had that thought cross your mind, you would be wasted by the end of this movie just from thoughts alone. There was so much alcohol in this movie, which is the whole point.
it's in the title.
It's in the title, The Legend of the Drunken Master. But, man, I don't know if you're going to drink industrial strength alcohol. It's like isopropyl. It's not good.
That's the stuff they use to strip paint off old airplanes.
Oh, that's no good.
Alright, do you want to do some trivia?
Yeah, I'm good for going into
Do you want to
trivia.
do some trivia? Do you want to go first?
Can you wait? Can you lead us in with the very clever title for our trivia segment that I made up?
Of course. Our trivia segment, Wait, Don't Kick Me, as played by Clay. Conor. So, I think one of my favorite pieces of trivia, it's not that surprising, but Donnie Yen was originally going to be John. And I was like, oh, come on. Donnie Yen. I
Yeah,
love
of
Donnie
course.
Yen. He's great.
No idea.
But he turned it down. I don't know why he turned it down.
You don't know who Donnie Yen is?
Not at all.
Have you seen Rogue One?
No.
Really?
I actually did
Star
not
Wars
see
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One.
You
I didn't
haven't?
see it.
Wow. That's the only kung fu movie that I know him from.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's done a lot of
Man,
kung fu movies,
which is the big kung fu movie. Anyways.
specifically because he practices a style of martial art called Wing Chun, and he is an absolute god. It is crazy. The entire style is based on doing kind of moves and counters there, where any kind of strike that somebody does, you, rather than blocking it, are able to deflect it and then move it into your own strike there.
Oh, so you use their momentum against them?
Sort of. That, and doing punches that are very, very fast. Donnie Yen, there are scenes of him doing dozens of punches within the course of a second.
Jeez.
Where he will start off
full-fledged, full-strength punch.
Well, it's not a punch where he's winding back up and then slugging around, but he might do a couple moves where he'll kick a guy there, boom, boom, hit him a couple times, knock the guy's guard down, and then stand up like a foot in front of him and go bam, 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 and hit
like
him
a windmill.
in this kind of circular pattern and go do 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 do, and you just hear it sounds like the pitter-pattering of like somebody running. But yeah.
Jeez.
Just to make it known to our audience, Clay just demoed all of them.
I did.
No, it was
did.
a perfect demonstration.
We'll say it was perfect form.
It was like he was here. Danny Aiello was here.
Nice.
I actually punched so fast I became Asian.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You got to do our pronunciation now.
You signed yourself up for it. Do you want to have another? Do you want me to do one?
Yeah,
I have a couple pulled up. Actually. Let's talk about Jackie Chan's character. So in this movie, he was the son, right?
Yes, it was.
He was like 40 in this movie. He was 8 years younger than the actor that played his father, and the character he was playing, he was double the age of the character.
Yeah.
The joke was he was like, the character's probably like what, 18, 20, somewhere around there.
Right.
Because
like
he's still not a student, but a student at the school, presumably.
There are bits, there are portions at the beginning in which they're doing this very comedic scene where it's supposed to be Jackie Chan and his mother working to try to come up with some way to get the man that's at his kind of house there to buy this smuggled ginseng that they brought back.
Right.
Trying to find some sort of substitute for their package, which was stolen. There's a portion in that where, in order to distract this patron and his father, you actually hear his stepmother speaking to him, saying, "Oh, what are we gonna do when our son gets old? You know, he's starting to get old. He might move out someday." So I can assume he's probably like early 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Which means Jackie was probably around like, what, 38, 40 in this movie?
Yeah, because this was 1994, so I forget his birth date, but...
That is not something that happens in Hollywood, unless it's like teenage characters, but they never go to like the upper ages of 30 and early 40s.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they'll do like 23, 24, right?
To be fair, though, in this movie, he looked really
he
young.
Looked
he
young.
Looked like
he looked
good.
Character. Yeah.
I don't know what they did, but
there were a couple of shots where you could tell that he was older, like especially when they were.
I could see like a few wrinkles around the sides of his face, but nothing like telling really.
When it came up to like him fighting, like the bosses.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be like grown men, and one of them looked way younger than Jackie Chan was.
That's right.
The one that didn't fight, the one that just got hit to the side.
Because apparently he was supposed to be the original boss of the film, but he kept injuring himself, so he couldn't really do that.
Which is, that must be so frustrating to
I
get
imagine.
casted for that movie. And
that's your job, too. So you got to protect that livelihood.
Definitely.
Right. No, that's got to be, especially people talk a lot about athletes, professional athletes having the whole thing where it's like, oh, they're in a profession there where their kind of health, their body really determines them getting a paycheck. For actors, that's usually not considered part of the job there. But I would say for Jackie Chan, who, real thing, when I just Googled Jackie Chan to pull up kind of basic info on him, the instant Google result there said Jackie Chan, and rather than actor, it said martial artist under.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be pretty important for him. Also, by the way, Conor.
Yeah.
I only brought it up because it came up in the related searches on Google. That's Donnie Yen, if
That's
you've ever
Donnie.
seen him.
Oh, I've
was-
definitely seen
He
him.
was that dude in Star Wars.
I've definitely seen him. I don't think I've ever seen him in a movie.
Okay.
So Donnie Yen was supposed to be the main character.
Yeah, he was supposed to be.
Jackie Chan's character.
Jackie Chan's character. That's right.
He's 9 years. Okay, so Jackie Chan's movie was 9 years older than his stepmother, which is crazy. She was great.
She was
loved
fantastic.
her. She was pregnant. Apparently,
That
just
was,
like it was a very convenient. When you guys watch the movie, it's a very convenient plot point to get the husband to stop being angry. But I guess she actually was pregnant. But again, this movie ends incredibly abruptly. There is no closure on that.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know if she's actually pregnant.
There are a couple things that happen in this movie. I'd like to kind of keep on this topic generally, but I will kind of branch off slightly into a bit of a tangent. There are a few things that come up, which, because it ends so abruptly, never get resolved.
No.
There's this whole thing about stepmother being pregnant, which, seems very convenient when it happens. She, does not look pregnant anyway.
not
Like,
at
it's
all.
clearly like early stages, and you're not sure, given what they've shown her character to be up until then, which is somebody who has no problem with just like, lying about stuff. You don't know if she's telling the truth or not.
No.
I guess she is.
And the outfits that they were wearing the entire time was like traditional, like Chinese, like just casual clothes,
Right.
garb, right? It's not obvious if she's even slightly pregnant,
Right.
which is what, like,
So that comes up, and that never gets resolved by the end. There's also, this is something which I remembered in kind of writing down a plot synopsis here. There's a scene, it's not terribly long, but there's a scene in which we do see the father character talking to a table of what looks like a number of other Chinese businessmen, and going into detail about some sort of nearby province, talking about how there's been a horrible drought and farmers are struggling to harvest for this season and they might starve, and he's trying to raise money to help them. That never comes back
never
up.
came up again. Yeah, like I don't even know. I don't know anything about specifically that part of like Chinese culture. I didn't know that was a thing where I just supposed that the husbands would all meet up and be like, "Hey, do they need money? You can borrow some money."
Right.
Which I'm assuming would mean like a favor in return, but that's never. They never even like besides that scene where they mention it, it never comes up again.
Right.
Yeah, that's not. We don't even know if anyone donated money. We don't know what happened at all with the money there.
Yeah, I think that might partly be that this is a sequel and we never watched the original. That might have something to do with a couple of the plot points that didn't really seem to fit.
Could that have
Because
been
for the
like
most part, this is a self-contained movie.
Right.
You can understand it without having to see anything else. Or the third one, because apparently there's a third one that even less people knew about.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that good, apparently. But
that makes more sense because maybe it was like a reference or a joke
yeah.
to beforehand, or maybe like Jackie Chan shoved water on some angry farmer, and
Right.
that's like a joke that there's a drought or something.
Yeah.
Which I guess would make more sense. Do you have another example, or is it just
That's kind of it.
it just doesn't have a good conclusion, which is probably my only biggest complaint, is that it doesn't have a conclusion. Which I understand the point of this movie was not the secret little plot that's happening there.
That's true, but
it was Jackie Chan getting oiled up and spinning a 20-foot bamboo pole
and fighting the Axe Gang.
The Axe Gang.
Holy shit! But and I want to get to the Axe Gang, but yeah, no, you're right. I'm with you. My only gripes there are that it ended on a level there where I was physically satisfied with the final fight because it had everything that a final fight should have.
It was so cool.
In the intensity, the kind of seeing the hero fail in battle and get overwhelmed, but then ultimately kind of as his point of character growth there, go back to the thing that he's good at, the thing that everyone has told him, don't do drunken boxing, blah, blah, blah.
Chug isopropyl alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
He eventually goes back to it to, embrace his own kind of individuality and become the hero in that scenario. It works well. None of the other story factors into that, though.
No.
So, I say that did, stand out as a little weird to me. Also, the pacing towards the end got a little strange because
it got very fast.
It got very fast.
Very fast, very
They had to
quickly.
get to the final fight, I think.
When as soon as Jackie Chan and the other agent there go into the embassy, there's a bit where in the course of about 5 minutes, it shows them get captured and then imprisoned for presumably a fairly long period of time.
Yeah, because everyone's sad. Everyone's so happy to see them back.
Right.
Very bloodied, clearly tortured in a way. It was really odd. Them sneaking into the embassy, and I guess the head teacher of the dojo also snuck in at the exact same time within 5 minutes of each other. Because then when they saw each other, they're like, "What are you doing here?" And it's that's crazy. And then they get found out and then imprisoned, and then they sell the dojo. We don't know what happened there. I don't know if they got the dojo back. Presumably, yes.
That's not.
It's just not.
Because there would be no reason for them to get the dojo back just because they beat up.
That's my biggest thing.
The two random guys.
Just because you beat up the CEO doesn't mean the company's gone now.
Right.
Now you just have an angry CEO that still owns your property. Legally speaking, you can't go to court and be like, "Yeah, I punched her. He's unconscious. Can I have my land back?" I don't think that's what happened.
I actually just realized too, after having watched this twice, Jackie Chan's character, he beats up the two final guys, and they never do anything to the British guy.
That's right.
Who was actually smuggling things out, and they never really stopped the smuggling. From what it looked like.
How did this movie get such a high rating? It must have been the fighting.
Because it's really good fighting. It's a martial arts movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, he really did just get scot free. Maybe that's in the sequel.
He just kind of ran away.
Did he run away?
They didn't even show him do anything. Yeah, it could have been whatever. I don't know.
I don't think we saw him again after they got imprisoned.
Right.
I don't think we ever saw him again, did we? Because then he went on the whole team.
No, you saw him once, I think, because they were actually pulling all the artifacts out of the whatever they were packed in. Crates. Oh yeah, the crates of steel rods. That's right. And then you see him order the two big guys to stop the workers from coming back in.
Yeah,
and then he leaves.
They also don't know who Jackie Chan was. They don't know. They just know him as the drunken boxer guy.
Right.
Well, yeah, and he was the one who originally had the jade seal. What it was.
Oh.
Because he had gotten that mixed up.
Yeah,
with
the guy was using to crush up garlic. I remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That never came. That never came back.
Well, I think that was just a one-off thing.
There are a fair number of things in this film which, in terms of just plot-wise, and this is when we were kind of in opening saying it doesn't take its plot too seriously. It kind of knows that everyone's watching for the fight scenes.
It knows that, and it does the comedy very well.
Right,
as well.
right. So, and I will say, that's one of those things where that's the only part of this movie which I didn't find fulfilling was those plot portions. By no means do I hold that against it, in that it was fun enough to watch the fight scenes, which were really intense and genuinely funny enough that I don't think that's like a big complaint. That being said, there are also plenty of movies out there which are just intended to be just kung fu movies. It's just there for fighting.
Yeah.
But they also do have plots that are a little tighter than this.
Which, I mean, as a comedy, you probably shouldn't take yourself that seriously. But it was like I'm not gonna hold the plot against it because it was so good in every other aspect.
Oh yeah,
right.
It went from like maybe a 10 out of 10 to like maybe a 9 out of 10 because it didn't get
right.
Some of it just didn't.
Because some of it just didn't come back. Yeah, which is fine.
No, I definitely think that this is a instance where style can absolutely overtake substance. In that there is enough cool stuff going on here, which was so well done, so well choreographed, well shot by everyone involved. Good stuff.
I'm probably gonna watch more movies, like more karate movies now.
We've gotten them in.
There we go.
Yeah.
We did it. Make a high five noise close to the mic.
Yeah, really as loud as possible.
I want to talk about the best fight in this movie.
The last fight?
The axe fight.
The Axe
Gang.
The one where they just stabbed the spine of the old man, and he's like, "Here you go, Jackie," and spits on him.
Oh, that was so good.
And then just helped the master, who then, again, when you guys watch the movie, he just gets shot.
Oh yeah.
He just gets shot. Like there's a huge fight scene. They've escaped, and then a close up of a gun, and then a bullet, and then he's dead. And then and just slumps over hardcore.
I'd like to say also, best acting I've seen of getting shot. Also,
absolutely.
He's up and goes, "I've been shot," and you see his head cocked to the side instantly,
holding back a smile on that dumb joke. But the Axe game, they were relentless.
That was such a brutal fight.
There was like,
and I kind of want to go through it like just a little chronologically.
Yeah.
Right.
Because wow, there's a lot.
There's a lot going on.
Was crazy there.
I love the setup for that fight, and I wish it were longer.
Oh yeah.
Because the plot.
But well, yes. But we get to see Jackie Chan and this previously mentioned man that he saw on the train there. The two of them sitting on the top floor of this, like some sort of cafe or bar.
It was a restaurant of some kind. Yeah.
That they mentioned that like, wow, no one's in here. It's empty. I didn't know if there were people in there when the scene first started because I wasn't paying attention.
It was pretty quick. I didn't really notice anything but them.
Yeah, I don't even know if they showed other tables.
Yeah.
It's you have that sort of setup though, which I do, and the plot is really kind of goes at a breakneck speed through this whole thing.
Yeah.
I wish we're a bit longer because that's such a very cool, tense setup where to look around the restaurant there and you hear them say like, I thought there were more people here. Where'd everyone go? And they look out the window and the whole like 3 square blocks around them are just empty.
Yeah. And then as Jackie Chan just goes and looks directly out of the window, like half of his torso out, 2 guys with axes from below go and try to just stab him. Which is crazy reaction speed.
Oh yeah.
And the smartest plan, if you knew Jackie Chan's character, was just wait for him to do something dumb and then just hit him and just stab him with the axes all 80 of you have. What axes?
The actual size of that fight. How many guys did you think there were there?
There was
It was
genuinely
a small
like
army,
30
which
people.
was when I first saw it, I was thinking, wow, this is just the better version of the Matrix Reloaded fight with a billion Smiths coming out.
Don't bring a bad movie.
Hey, okay. That's a hot topic. I like all of the Matrix films.
Do you?
Yeah, but there's some bad stuff in those movies.
Yeah.
I think we can. I mean, they differ in quality. Bad Matrix is still good.
It's still good.
You know, I would be. You can catch more of our hot takes on the Matrix in next week's Matrix cast.
We just watch one fight scene,
Right,
for about
right.
2 hours.
You get to hear us react to it in real time.
Apparently, the Axe game is a real game.
I did not realize that.
It's a reference to a game founded in 1921, but is currently used for show and cinema. It has been in a crazy amount of films.
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 separate films all had an Axe gang.
Oh my
The
god.
Axe Gang. It's infamous, apparently.
And
That's so cool.
recently, a Hatchet gang is depicted in both seasons of Netflix's Iron Fist. A Hatchet gang. That's different. You can't.
It's not as catchy.
It's not the Axe Gang.
It's not
Right.
the Axe gang. Those were actual weapons. There were a couple of scenes where I was like, genuinely, whoa, like
Right.
that would hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Oh man.
We had to roll out of the way of the metal barrel dropping on him.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the last fight, though.
Yeah,
That was
That was tense.
yeah.
No, that is tense stuff. I love hearing about these real life gangs in China, which still exist because apparently there are a bunch of them. Like I always love hearing about these things, which are apparently
I think the
still
Triads are
real.
Chinese. Don't fact check me on this.
The Triads are Chinese. What's the Japanese?
Yakuza,
The Yakuza.
The Yakuza is the big one.
Yeah, that's like they're in military. Like that's why they have so much influence. Like they have like the head of militaries and like people in
Right.
companies. It's like a modern day successful. What's that one religion Tom Cruise is part of?
Scientology.
Scientology, yeah, but with more murder. Apparently axes.
I think the Yakuza is cooler than Scientology.
Probably.
I would agree.
Because the Yakuza actually does stuff for people too.
The Scientology of video games.
I will
think
say-
about it.
Fair enough.
Before we do, and you know, oh,
This week's episode of Sound Engineer with Conor Green.
This week's thing. The goal is to make very loud popping noises into the microphone.
I said sound engineer, but you're more of a sound artist.
Yeah.
Is
Ooh.
what
It's
I'm thinking.
just me peeing and I record it.
I'm gonna put sound artist on my resume, and people are gonna be like, "What's that mean?" And I'm gonna be like,
If
well,
you don't know
check
what
out
it
my
is."
SoundCloud account."
I thought you were gonna say if you don't know what it is, then you're clearly not a sound artist.
Sound Artur.
Yeah.
Going back to the Yakuza for a second, didn't the Yakuza back in 2011 when Japan had the horrible triple threat of earthquake, tsunami, nuclear reactor meltdown?
A good
Didn't-
year for Japan.
Oh yeah. Didn't the Yakuza end up donating like a ton of money
Yeah, they
to
helped out.
disaster relief?
Yeah, they helped out a lot of people. Because I think their whole thing isn't just needless violence, it's like a protection thing. But they're
Right.
also harming people that don't have their protection.
Yeah.
That's true. But
It's
if you're
still-
protected, you're protected.
No,
No,
like
one's gonna
you're,
mess
like
with your
no one will
business.
mess with you, yeah.
Classic extortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we call it insurance,
Yeah.
really. It's just
I mean-
USAA.
Also, you know, part of me, I really hope I don't ever meet the real Yakuza. Not because I'm super afraid of getting killed by the Yakuza, which I am,
Yeah.
but in movies, I'm led to believe that every wealthy and powerful person in Japan has a black suit and a matching katana
Yeah.
just sitting around.
Katana.
And I'm gonna be really disappointed if I ever visit Japan and then, you know, like bump shoulders with some like dude with a briefcase on the street, and he's like, "Watch where you're going, kid." And I'm like, "You can't tell me what to do, old man." And he'll be like, "What?" And then
And
pull out a
that's the movie.
katana there, yeah.
And kill a kid. And just stab him for shoving him.
From what I heard from another podcast, actually,
Mm.
let me tell you about their Japanese episode, Japanese experiences, the Yakuza aren't, especially the foreigners, they're not really going to do anything to you in a public place. They're going around like, hey, you want to buy some drugs or something.
But the X gang will come here.
The X gang is a whole different
They are
story.
relentless. They will find your address. They know your address. Everyone listening, they know your address. Do not mess with the X gang because there are just 40 guys.
If you're
with
ever
little axes.
alone in a restaurant, it's over.
Get out. You can't escape if you're alone in a restaurant, especially if a guy's talking to you about probably
About
foreign
Chinese
affairs.
culture.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
man.
leave. Or, I mean, well, in that case, my bubble tea place is going to be a lot more scary.
They really just climbed up the outside of that building.
They had the ladders, and
Right?
they were just ready.
They were ready. They had pre-made ladders that they brought.
Perfect height.
Right.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. And it was just there's the one shot of like the waves of the guys going onto the ladder, but they all still fought on 1v1, and they were just getting demolished. But there was 90 of them, so it was really a war of attrition, like the Great War of 1812.
Good historic reference.
Thank you.
You know, if there's one thing that our podcast is, it's historic.
It's it's tight knowledge, raw facts, historical.
Tight knowledge, raw facts, a slightly drunken co-host, a good time.
And that's every episode.
I think that's a good point for us to go ahead
Yeah.
and pivot into our sponsor
Our
for
sponsor?
tonight's episode.
Smirnoff Ice.
Our sponsor for tonight, guys. Tide.
We'll let you do the sponsoring.
Okay.
Alone.
Ah,
Let's go ahead and let you do this improv alone.
right.
My improv style is hold on.
Some people have said the key to improv is yes, and I would say it's.
My personal favorite, no but, is a good
No.
one.
No. But
But-
here's my idea.
But here's my idea.
Guys, Tide's been getting a little bit of a bad rap lately
Has he?
for that
Actually.
whole kids
Dying?
dying
That was
because
a
they're
while ago.
drinking
That was 2
Tide
years ago.
Pods.
Did people actually do that? Did
No,
children
kids actually did that, yeah. It was not
Apparently,
good.
it's because they look kind of like candy.
Okay,
but-
I looked into this.
Uh-huh.
It was
Kids
'cause
are stupid, and the Axe Gang's great.
Am I right?
I just want to say.
the Axe King is great. This week is sponsored by the Axe King. No, yeah. So apparently, it has like the shine of a fruit that like instinctively means that it's like full of fat and sugar and is good to eat.
Uh-huh.
It's like
Yeah.
colorful, meaning it's healthy. So it had all these things, and it was like poppable, and it was juicy, so you knew it was ripe.
Right.
So essentially, it appealed to all of our natural human instincts of food. But kids are dumb as hell, so they just fucking chomp on them.
Right. Wow.
Just chomp on it. Much like Jackie Chan did to literal isopropyl alcohol. He actually drank that.
That made me feel so sick to my stomach.
You see some
Especially
of
the
it.
first time I saw that.
You see some of
He
it
vomited.
splash on like the side of his shirt there,
Yeah.
and it's like a red color, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
It's not clean.
No.
Like, it's not something.
Right, aside
attainable
from the
drink.
alcohol content of it, that boy just has enough general shit in it to kill a man.
No, absolutely. He vomited immediately. Like, they show him. Watch the movie. It showed him vomiting. It was really bad. Like,
Jackie
don't-
Chan is infamous for doing all his own stunts. Do you think
He does all
he
his own
shoved
stunts,
his own fingers down his throat to vomit for that scene?
Yeah.
Or
I think he actually vomited.
wow.
I think he also actually drank isopropyl alcohol.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if they kill their actors. But
Wow.
I was gonna say
Wow.
It's a good movie, though.
Very good movie. I'm trying to see if there's any other trivia here that sticks out.
It is.
A lot of it seems kind of trivial and dumb.
Oh yeah, the point where he crawled over burning coals twice.
Yeah.
First time because that was what's written. Second time because he wanted to do it better.
Which is a bold move to not say. I think he left that day the alpha. Like, he already knew he was a popular good actor.
It might have been over multiple days because every day they shot this, they got about 3 seconds of that 7-minute fight, which you mentioned earlier off the podcast to me.
So were they fighting? Like, when they would shoot that scene, is there like hours of other unedited footage where they're like, no, it's not used that fighting?
I guess
that's
so.
crazy.
There's just got to be so many takes involved, is what I'm thinking.
I guess so.
That they do consume an entire day of filming.
And I can definitely see how that would take a lot out of you, because if you do a full take of one of those choreographed sequences and something goes wrong and you don't like the way it looks, you've wasted a lot of time. You've put your actors through so much strain doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can probably only, like, even if you had enough time to shoot, it's like, oh, it was like a 30-second shot there of whatever scene. You could probably only get your actors to do that like 2 or 3 times before they're just exhausted from it.
Absolutely. Like, there was a lot of physical movement. And while Jackie Chan is clearly no slouch when it comes to physical activity, that's a lot. Like, it was a lot of movement, a lot of fighting.
That's what they train their bodies for.
Yeah. Oh, the guy was the kicky guy at the end at the final boss.
That was intense.
He was the bodyguard of Jackie Chan.
That's right.
Yeah, that he was like, hey, get really good at kicking in the next like 3 months or whatever.
And he did. That was really cool.
He did a great job.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he moved his leg faster than I thought anyone could move in a
That was
bandage.
incredible. There's a bit there where he just has his legs pretty much at a 180-degree angle. His foot just up in the air. He's holding it,
cool.
maintaining a conversation.
It was really impressive. I don't know what kind of stretches you have to do. That's crazy.
You have to be a bodyguard, apparently.
Yeah.
That's part of the
regimen.
regimen.
Jackie Chan's bodyguard. You were probably already doing like his morning stretches with him.
What? I just want to, real quick, what does that mean? To be Jackie Chan's bodyguard?
Are you a better fighter, or like, are you just for backup?
I don't know.
Probably just for backup. I don't think you're a better fighter. You might just be like a bigger dude. It might be like the big thing.
Might just be to dissuade people from fighting. I don't know.
Well, you're just there to make Jackie Chan look cooler when he's fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're supposed to tag team with
a hype man.
Hype man.
Hype man.
Who sticks his leg in the air.
Yeah, right. 180, like a perfect. You could take a protractor to that and see that's a perfectly straight line, like a leveler.
Exactly.
A leveler.
Well, are there any more specific parts of the movie you guys want to talk about, or should we just move into kind of giving an overview of what we think of the movie?
Our closing
remarks,
I
guess.
Can't think of much of anything else.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of nuances that we like missed.
Oh, of course.
But we covered most of the cool fights. Like the most memorable fights. Yeah. So
I think this is a good time to go into our segment for closing thoughts and personal opinions. This segment entitled Taekwon Bros.
Yes.
Hearing opinions from just the boys here.
Just the boys. Jackson, would you like to give your first thoughts?
I think this is a really, really good movie. I think there's some things to consider with it. You might want to watch the first one, Drunken Master, which was shot 16 years before. But that's not really necessary. It was, which for a reboot.
It's a long time for a sequel.
But you don't necessarily have to. It's a self-contained movie. And another thing, I watched both the dub and the sub, and there's not really a difference. So unless you understand Cantonese and want to watch that version, I guess I'd go with either one, really.
Yeah. Probably the dub if you don't like reading subtitles.
A lot of people don't like reading subtitles, which, I mean, I like subtitles. But
I actually can't read. So.
A lot of people don't know that about me. I've been faking it. I got this far. Abacadabra, my SATs really helped.
But Yeah, I'd say this is probably one of, if you're going to watch a kung fu martial arts movie, this is one of the best ones you can watch. Just with Jackie Chan, who's already a big name in it,
Right.
and it's just got so much that even now a lot of tropes of the Drunken Master are based on Drunken Master II.
Right.
But yeah.
I definitely saw like playing monks and other video games, which I know you do too. Like drunken style.
Oh yeah.
Like just a general pop culture reference of that was like in everything.
Yeah.
Like all the moves
all
there, like even the joke names were all like
Right.
genuine names.
Yeah.
If you had to give it a rating on a scale from 1 to 10 axe gangs,
From sober to isopropyl alcohol.
right?
I don't know which scale to choose now. That's
what
hard.
proof liquor would you rate this
That's a
movie?
good way to
that's a
rate
good
it.
one, yeah.
Oh, what's liquor proof again? I forgot.
So proof, when you half it,
This is the reason you're on the
drinking
podcast here.
connoisseur. The proof is half of the alcohol. Is double that. Okay, so if something is 70 proof, that means it's 35% alcohol.
Okay.
So the
yeah,
proof is
yeah,
double
It
the alcohol
doubled the
content.
alcohol content.
Gotcha.
I don't know why. I don't know the history behind that, but that is, I believe.
Out of this, I'd give this an 18 proof. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's 9% alcohol.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, it's more than some beer, I think, right?
I think normal beer is like 4.5% alcohol.
That's
Maybe-
right. Yeah.
maybe
Beer's
6%?
beer's less than I thought it was.
Beer's
That's
not
right.
a lot.
It's less than what Jackie Chan drank.
Yeah, he drank clearly 200 proof alcohol. Ever clear.
He drank like actual factory waste. It was just if you could go and you could scrape up the like rubber burn left by like drag races, he just put all that in a bottle and drank it. It's
Oh, that's no good.
So what would you? What's your proof?
my proof. I go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and give my quick wrap up. Quick thoughts. Quick thoughts. Top notch.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of getting to see most of the things that I've seen Jackie Chan in have been his very Western movies. So it was cool getting to see this one, which is clearly made from a more Chinese kind of standpoint there. Interesting to see how that differs in terms of what values are sort of reflected in it, but at the same time seeing the constant that no matter what it is, Jackie Chan still really knows how to make people laugh with martial arts. A fantastic feat, which I commend him on. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rate Legend of the Drunken Master I'm gonna say that's
Just think of a
Trying to
number
do
and
the math.
double it.
think of a number.
Just think of a number and double.
I'm gonna
Either you can do a 1 to 10, or you can be like what a general alcohol.
I'm gonna give this one a, what would that be? 160 proof.
Oh, so
liquor.
about an 8 out of 10.
So
Yeah.
8 out of 10, 80% alcohol content.
Very high. I'm gonna. My closing ideas was, as someone who knows very little about martial arts and most of Jackie Chan's films I've never actually seen. This is my first actual kung fu movie.
You ever seen Rush Hour?
Rush
No, I
Hour
didn't
is
see
so
Rush
good.
Hour.
Kung Fu film. It's just
I
good. love
I like Rush Hour.
The comedy in it was fantastic. I loved the movie. The fight scenes were awesome and gripping and cool, and also had humor in them. Jackie Chan did a fantastic job. The stepmother's a fantastic character. I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a solid 180 proof.
Ooh.
And just say it was a good 9 out of 10.
There you go.
Pretty good. Well,
all right. With that,
conclusion. Woo! This is where you cut into the
Yeah.
conclusion.
I hope you'll join us next week when we check out Rush Hour 2.
Not the first one.
No,
just
we
the
watched the second one for this, so we gotta start Rush Hour.
This has been Kung-versations with Jackson, Connor, and Clay. Hope you tune in next week.